Currency Pro Part 5, How Companies Manage Their Currency Exposure. To a global company, managing their currency exposure is extremely important and complex. Let's start at a more basic level and work our way up. Imagine you're a farmer that sells corn. You need to sell 1,000 bushels of corn at $5 each in next year's harvest to feed your family. Yes, I realize that's not enough to feed a family, but this is just a simple example, so bear with me. The farmer doesn't know what the price of corn will be next year, but he can use a derivative contract called a future or forward contract. Two different things that work pretty much the same for our purposes, to essentially lock in a price for next year. I'm filming this in September 2023. And right now the corn futures price for September 2024 is just over $5 a bushel. If the farmer does nothing and corn prices go up a lot, he'll make a lot more money. But if he does nothing and they go down a lot, he won't be able to feed his family. So he might sell a futures contract for next year, which essentially says, I promise to sell you 1,000 bushels of corn at the futures price, which right now is about $5.10 in September 2024. That way, he takes the risk of future corn price movements off the table. Now, we could go further down the rabbit hole of how this works, but we're not here to talk about corn. We're here to talk about currencies. Kind of like how the farmer wanted to lock in the price of corn, a company might want to lock in the value of a currency if they're doing a lot of business in it. They can do that by using a variety of derivatives, such as futures that are based on a currency instead of corn, or currency swaps, which we talked about earlier. These all work a bit differently from each other, but unless you're the CFO of a multinational company, the main thing you need to know is that, like the farmer, they're protecting their business from future currency moves. Let's say a US-based company has a big factory in China and sells a lot of their products in Europe. They have a lot of costs in Chinese yuan because of their factory there. So if the yuan strengthens too much against the dollar, those costs would go up and eat into their profits. To avoid this, they might decide to hedge their currency exposure, essentially buy using a derivative contract that would go up if the yuan rose against the dollar. They do it in roughly the amount of their expenses. So for a simple example, if they have $1 million of expenses in yuan, they might buy a contract that gives them $1 million of yuan in exchange for dollars. That way, if the yuan strengthens, their cost of the factory will go up, but their futures contract, or whatever they used, will go up about the same amount. It would essentially insulate them from the risk of rising costs due to a strengthening yuan. If they think they'll have $1 million of revenue coming from Europe, the risk there is that the euro goes down and reduces the value of their sales in dollar terms. So to protect themselves, they could essentially do the same thing. In this case, they don't want to use a derivative contract that would bet against the euro and thus benefit if the euro went down. That way, if the euro went down, their European profits might go down, but their futures contract would go up in about the same amount. In real life, many multinational companies have whole teams of people doing this because it's such a crucial part of managing their risk and stabilizing their profits. That concludes part 5 of this course. In part 6, I'll dive into how governments manage their currency. And by the way, this is a 10-part course that's going to roll out over 5 weeks on YouTube. But if you want access to all 10 parts right now without clicking around YouTube or watching ads, check out the link below. Thanks for watching.